hace 9 años que el snack wrap se fue. Así, sin explicación, sin despedida. Y tú no lo superaste. Hiciste posts, tweets, hasta abriste grupos en las redes sociales. Y te enfocaste en lograr tu meta, que regresara. Y hoy, después de años de pedirlo, volvió el snack wrap. Ordénalo en Ranch o Spicy. Encuentra tu snack wrap en tu McDonald's favorito. Para pa pa pa.
Hey you, welcome back to another episode. I feel like it's been so long, even though I know at the back of my mind that the last episode was released 2 weeks ago. In my head, it feels like we last had a conversation 5 years ago, 4 years ago. Like I was about to record the episode and I was like, when last did we talk? When last did I record? Wasn't it like 5 years ago? It feels so long. To the point that I'm actually even considering maybe dropping episodes weekly or dropping like, I don't know, 4 times a week or something. But if I do that, if I drop an episode 4 times a week, then I'll just be scrapping for content and dropping nonsense just to fill in the episodes. But I might consider maybe in the near future, who knows? In the near future, I might actually decide to be dropping episodes weekly or even twice weekly, But I just feel like it's been too long at this point. Like I feel like it was a bit too long for us to have a conversation. But with that being said, I'm glad that we're having another conversation again. Welcome to the episode. If you're a returning listener, welcome back. If you're listening to this episode, if you're hearing this episode, then it means that I actually grew a third ball. Like aside the two pairs of balls that I already have, I grew another one. Because before recording this episode, I was actually genuinely asking myself if I should actually record this episode. And if you're hearing this episode, then it means that after recording this episode, I am still going to think about whether I should upload it. But if you're hearing this episode, then it means that I actually did drop it. Because I've genuinely been contemplating recording this episode. Right? This is because whenever I want to talk on the podcast, right? Whenever I want us to have a conversation about a particular topic, I usually like to come at this topic or talk about the topic from a point of view that's like I might not have completely conquered the thing I'm talking about, but I have some sort of control on the situation and I understand it in a way that it works for me. And so this is what I think, and I think that this is very valuable, and I think that it's actually effective. And so here's what I think, and I tell you that way I feel sort of like there's some value in what I'm saying. Do you get? But then I was thinking about this episode and I was like, should I really drop this episode? As some people would say, it's like you're coming to open your pants to the entire world. Because I mean, this is the internet. And so I was telling myself, should I record an episode talking about this topic? I mean, the topic suggests insecurities, right? And me being who I am, I'm obviously going to tell a story. I'm obviously going to, the entire conversation is going to get deep. And so I was wondering really, really hard if I should record this episode. Because anytime I want to drop a podcast episode, anytime I'm releasing a podcast episode, anytime I'm recording, planning, everything that comes with it, I often like to do it in a way that I know that what I'm releasing is very valuable. I often drop episodes that I know that I myself I could listen to. Right? I know that I could listen back to this episode and be like, this was valuable. And so I know anybody who's listening is listening to something valuable. You get where I'm coming from. And so you might be wondering why I'm recording this episode. Like, so what then made me decide to sit down, pick up the microphone, and then start having this conversation with you? And the conclusion I came to is that I wanted to record this because it's something that I actually decided to get over. And instead of waiting, because I did want to wait for when I had conquered the insecurity, when I had gotten over what it is I want to get over, then I would come on the episode and be like, hey, so I conquered this, and after so and so time, this is what I actually did learn. But then I decided that as I'm starting to decide to conquer this, I'm going to come here and talk about it. In the journey of conquering it, I'm going to be talking about it, right, alongside other stuffs. And then when I eventually do conquer it, hopefully, I come back here and we have a conversation about it. And I think that's actually beautiful because in a way it serves as some sort of accountability system whereby I do talk about it and now I have to keep up what I've said and I actually do have to get over it, right? And that process hopefully inspires you too who's listening. And we sort of get over it together. A win-win situation, if you please, And so yeah, that's basically it. So talking about it here would hopefully inspire somebody who would actually decide to, push past whatever insecurity it is they have and they put one foot in front of the other like I've decided to do, and we sort of tell that insecurity to get out the way. And so without further ado, let's just dive right into the episode. The theme of today's episode is basically me telling the insecurity that enough is enough. Is me finally deciding that I actually do want to start putting in the work to stop the insecurity that I do have from hindering me. And I would give you the story about how this insecurity came to be so that you would sort of understand the depths of this. Because when I tell you that this insecurity has been plaguing my life for the past couple of years, I'm talking 3 years. Yes, 3 years. I will put a mark on it. 3 years. And so I decided that enough is enough. And so for you to understand how deep this thing goes, I would give you a story, the background of how everything started. So it was a couple of years ago, specifically 3 years ago, and I was still in secondary school. And if my memory serves me right, it was a morning. I can't remember what day it was, but it was a morning. And I came to school very early. And for some very odd reason, I was really happy. Like I was really, really excited to be in school that morning, which is odd because I normally am not excited to be in school. I don't know how that sounds, but my secondary school, after I switched schools, I was not normally excited to get to school. Do you get? But I was very, very excited to come to school. And when I got to school, there were a couple of my classmates that were in class. And so I was just talking with them, I was gisting with them, and I was making jokes with some people. And then there was somebody who I often hanged out with. We are not very close, but we were in each other's circle anyway. And so I spoke with that person maybe a bit more than I would speak with a random person from the class, right? And so that morning I was talking with that person, and I was feeling goofy, if I remember correctly. I was feeling very silly, and so I think I was looking for the person's trouble while we were talking, and then I was laughing, and then this person now said, "Look at your teeth." This person then says, "Look at your teeth." The person then goes on to really describe the structure of my teeth and how it looks very different to that of every other person's, or to that of an average, normal, dentally structured person's teeth, if that makes sense. At first, it hit me in a weird way, right? It dismantled or disoriented me. And I ignored it and I kept on laughing. And the person repeated the statements. And that's where everything started. Like that moment the person repeated the same thing, it started. Let me paint a picture of how my teeth actually looks like. So the upper side of my teeth looks very normal, right? It's if the visible part of it at least looks straight enough and clean enough and white enough. But the lower side of it, every other part of it is straight except the incisors. The incisors being the teeth after your middle teeth. Like if you were to clench your teeth together, there is the two teeth that meet in the middle from the upper and the lower. Those ones, the middle teeth. Then the ones next, if you can't really picture that, just search for incisors basically. So the lower incisors of my teeth, the incisors of my lower teeth, they are pushed inside. And so they went inside while the other teeth are okay and straight. But when that happens, the lower teeth now looks different. It looks unique in a way, in the sense that your canines, they point up, they are very pointy, and then the incisors are inside. And so it's just this weird crooked stuff that I never really thought was weird. I always knew, like I acknowledged that it was there. But nobody had ever really told me that that was weird or that was odd or they made jest of it. Do you get? Even people had acknowledged it in my life. It wasn't like that was the first time somebody said it. But this person was saying it in a way that I don't know. I don't know why. I don't. If you were to sit me down and be like, Martins, did this person directly say this teeth was horrible? Did this person say it was ugly? Did this person say it was? The person did not say so. But the way the person made, like the way the person laughed at it, the way the person was like, "Oh, look at your teeth, look at how this side is like this, oh, look at how this side is like this," and people were in the class, and I just couldn't say anything. And when I tell you that from that day till this very moment that I'm talking with you through this microphone, I have been goddamn insecure about my teeth, you would not believe it. I feel like there may be people like that who have had similar scenarios or even scenarios that are longer in time duration than I've just experienced. But I don't even know what to say concerning that. Like it was so horrible. It was so horrible. It was so bad. And I think for a very long time. For the next couple of years, I would say 2 years after that, I did hate this person. I disliked this person, and I still saw this person, but deep down I disliked them. And this entire insecurity was not even something that played out immediately. It was something that had built up every single day since after that person said it. And so after that person said it, my mind is like, what was like? This is weird. Like, this is weird. I go to my seat, I sit down, and I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, what he said, what this guy say, is it really that bad? And then I take excuse from the teacher to go use the restroom, and I look at the mirror and I'm like, is this teeth really that bad? And I'm walking back to class and I'm like, what, this guy is stupid, I beg, she get out, is this teeth really that bad? Like, it's not that bad, it's not. And so it had been in my mind that even a week after that, we had a meeting with a group of seniors and all of that. And I couldn't even talk properly because I was like, everybody's looking at my teeth. They probably think that same thing that guy thought. And I know what you're probably thinking now, guy, these entire thoughts are self-inflicted. It's not as if the guy told you anything. So what on earth is that? Wow, why, why are we even having this episode? But I'm coming, I'll get to that. But I know, I agree with you. Okay, I agree with you that really everything that happened, the insecurity that had accumulated in a way was not 100%, but a good part of it was my doing. A good part of it was my imagination and me reforming and retelling myself in multiple horrible ways that what this person said was true and exaggerating it in a way that it was bad. And it affected me. Like, it affected me so bad. It affected me so freaking bad. Like, gosh. I feel a bit awkward recording this episode and talking with you about this. This is because I feel like a couple of people who know me in real life actually listen to my podcast. Although they won't admit it to me. When I see the stats, I'm like, okay, this is a good number of people. But I would then come to the realization that people who know me in real life, people who I probably see on a day-to-day basis that do not know about this would probably listen to this episode and be like, oh no, so Martin, and they'll probably tell me this, or they'll probably start thinking about it. And so you can understand why I was really thinking about dropping this episode. But you know what? I'll drop it either way. I'm already deciding to work on this, and so let's just keep going. This thing affected me in multiple ways, but I will not bore you with the details of how I was affected by such an insecurity. I would only just summarize it by saying that it affected me in communicating with people, in the sense that whenever I want to talk with somebody, the first thing that comes to my mind is not how the conversation is going to go. It's not what I'm planning to say. It's not the person's facial expression. I would barely even notice if that person had like a centipede on their nose. All I'll be thinking about is, how does this person perceive me? What is this person thinking my teeth is weird? Like, I'm talking and I'm trying not to pronounce words that would prominently show my teeth. I feel like if anybody has had any insecurity that shows that is visible, maybe in your teeth like mine, or is in any part of your face, for the most part you might have experienced this. And so I'm always thinking about that. When I want to talk, anything revolving around conversations, and gosh, it feels so bad. And so you can imagine when lockdown happened, when people were wearing nose masks, that was like the best thing ever. Sometimes I would often wish that the lockdown period started a trend that would not stop. Nose masks now become official, or they just stayed permanent in our dressing or fashion sense in society. Because to me, that was like God had answered my prayers by bringing coronavirus. Does that sound bad? But to me, it sounded that way. It sounded like I could finally wear something that covered what I thought was very, very hideous. I could finally wear something that covered something that I felt like everybody was noticing, and not noticing with admiration, not noticing for the sake of noticing, but noticing with disgusting intent. You understand? And so somehow the words of this guy, who probably does not even remember what he said to me, stayed in my mind, and it festered, and I allowed it to grow by watering it with words of affirmation, with words of negative affirmation, to the point that it affects me so bad. I would say that whenever we're having a conversation on the podcast, whenever I bring out the microphone, for some wonderful reason, that doesn't happen. I do not even think of an insecurity that I do have. You might argue that that's because there's nobody here. But I would say that even when I think in my head, it got to the point that even when I think in my head, or when I'm thinking of a thought, or when I'm just talking to myself, I'm often hyper aware of the fact that my teeth is a part of the instrument I'm using to communicate. And so I should probably just think very fast and end the thinking, or I should communicate to myself very fast and I should just end it. But whenever we're having a conversation, throughout this conversation we've been talking about so far, I've not even felt self-conscious about my teeth. And even if I'm talking about it now and I'm thinking about it, I want to feel self-conscious, but I do not. I feel like this is a very good safe space. Like, you are a safe space for this. But yeah, I started thinking about this insecurity recently, and I told myself that I do not want this to be something that is going to be a part of me for a very long time, and I want to cut it off. I would admit that it's not going to take the shortest of time to do so, because all of this festered and grew in a period of 3 years plus. And so it's not going to take me a month to get over it completely. I would say that there are times whereby I feel better than I would often feel at my worst when the thoughts of these insecurities are clouding my mind. But I do want to get over it completely. Right. And so recently I sat down and I told myself that there is a kind of life I want to have. There are visions I want in my life. There are different types of structure that I want to build in my life. In general, I have a plan for my life, and I want to really grow in more ways than one. And on a personal scale, I do not want this limitation to affect me, because I'm somebody who is very expressive. I'm somebody who genuinely likes to talk and communicate and just express himself in various ways, but particularly verbally. And I feel like with the path of life I'm going to be following, a lot of communication is going to be involved. I mean, I have a podcast, for the love of Christ. I'm going to have to tell people about it. Even in the field of cybersecurity that I'm going to be following, I'm going to have to work. Communication is a very good soft skill. And so I cannot be talking with someone and be like, so what do you think about that? So what are you saying? I can't do that. I can't keep on allowing the insecurity to manifest itself and be obvious in my mind and to the person whenever we're having a conversation, because whether I like it or not, I feel like there are times whereby I think of this insecurity so much during conversations that I feel like the other person will start to feel like something is off with this guy. Is this guy comfortable in himself? And I say this not out of pure imagination, although that might be part of it. But you would agree with me that there are sometimes you will look at somebody, and when the person is talking to you, the person is like, hey, what's up? I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking about the other way, and I think we should do this. And I do not like this because of this. You can tell that, oh, this person is actually very sure of themselves. This person is thinking about, and because they are sure about what they are saying, you're giving it reason. You feel like it's what you actually using your brain power to think about what they're saying. And then there's the other scenario where you see somebody and they're like, I don't really know what you're. And you're like, sorry, what did you say? And I'm like, I don't. I think that maybe we should just try what you. I don't like. For instance, now I feel like if you, and then in your mind you're like almost feeling pity for this person. You're like, okay, let me listen to what this person. But you're not giving it the same level of respectful processing as you would the first person that I just gave an example to. You understand what I'm saying? And I do want to sound like the first person a good number of times. And so I want to improve on this. And so hence the episode, hence this, hence me telling that insecurity, fuck you. And I want to be the best version of myself. And doing this involves me getting rid of this insecurity. And so there are a couple of steps I've been taking to actually get over this insecurity. The steps might sound very obvious to you, but to me, these are steps that I feel like in a way they're starting to actually help me improve. One of the steps is that I've started intentionally talking to people. I would say that last year, which was a very horrible year for me in more ways than one, whenever it came to things of communication, I would shy away from conversations with people. I would not really want to talk to people. Like I mentioned earlier in this conversation, if I want to talk to somebody, I'm thinking about my teeth, oh my god, myself, my teeth. I'm so hyper aware of so many things, and my teeth being in the foremost. And I'm like, I cannot just talk to this person about no way. I can't. I cannot. I cannot. And so I would let opportunities pass me by. I would let my expression of self pass me by. I would let, if something I should have, if saying no could have just done something for me, expressing myself or what I want, or expressing my opinion, my thoughts could have helped me, I will start thinking of alternatives to that. I'll be like, you know what? It's not so bad if this person doesn't give me the blue one instead of the red one. I mean, look at it. It's blue. It's fine. It's not so bad if I don't really explain why I wrote this. You do understand? I'm trying to always make it seem like I don't really have to talk. Meanwhile, deep down in my heart, I know that I'm just deceiving myself. Right. So this time around, I'm actually starting to intentionally talk to people. And with that intentionality of talking to people comes the mindset of, I don't really care what this person is thinking right now. Right now, while I'm intentionally going to talk to this person, I'm going to be forcing myself to be present in this conversation. I'm going to be observant of this person rather than being in my head. I'm going to listen to what this person has to say. I'm going to think about what I have to say, and then I'm going to just say it. And whilst doing that, I'm going to maintain eye contact because I've always avoided eye contact. Alongside avoiding conversations, eye contact was part of it. And so I'm going to maintain eye contact and I'm going to have a conversation with this person. And I'm going to just keep on doing this until it starts to feel natural. And until this thought of, oh, this teeth is not good enough. Oh, this part of you is not good enough. You shouldn't do this. Starts to fade away. Until that entire thought starts to fade away, I'm going to keep on doing it. Because aside that guy, I don't think any other person after him has said anything concerning my teeth except myself. And so I'm going to reform it so much so that even if somebody were to mention it, I would realize that it doesn't play a big role in how I'm perceived. And it's a part of me, but it's not all of me. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And so the second step I'm taking is reforming my belief and mindset. It links to the first thing I just said now. Whilst having the conversation, I'm going to keep on telling myself that it's not who I am as a person. It's not completely who I am. I am not Mr. Crooked Teeth. I'm not somebody whose side of him that doesn't fit the societal standard or doesn't fit the dental standard, right? Because I'm not going to say crooked teeth is beautiful. It does come with its own problems, but I'm not going to start pressuring myself and saying that I'm weird because I can't, the mindset I had earlier. I'm going to start reforming it, and I started doing this. I started telling myself every day that this teeth doesn't define me. I started telling myself every day in front of a mirror, I would be giving myself words of affirmation that I'm a bit too embarrassed to say on this podcast. I might one day, but I start telling myself comforting words. Giving myself words of affirmation. I start not this sort of, oh, you're so, I don't know, it's not cheesy in the way you're believing. It's not sort of this lovey dovey words of affirmation, but I'm really, really hitting it where I know that it hurts me. And I'm going at it and I'm telling myself these words and I'm reforming years of telling myself horrible things because I'm going to wash out all those horrible words with good words consistently, even though I do not believe them. And so I'm going to keep on doing it for myself and to myself. You understand? That's the next step I'm taking. And alongside these two steps, what I'm now doing is accepting that whatever happens, happens in the conversation. And so, whilst I'm telling myself this, reforming my mindset, and whilst I'm having conversations, and whilst I'm maintaining eye contact, I'm telling myself that if this conversation doesn't go as planned, if this person feels weird about anything, that's fine. I move on to the next person. Do you get? Like, I'm just telling myself that whatever would be, would be. I just need to get out of this rut. I need to get out of this deformative mindset. I need to get out of this trapped mindset of this insecurity is who I am and it's going to hold me back because it's just a fact when it actually isn't. You know? Because I've really made wonderful connections with people regardless of the fact that I have this. And some of the people that I've asked directly did not even notice this until I brought it up. They didn't even notice that, oh, the crooked it was there. Maybe something that they might have thought of, but I've not even reasoned it until I brought it up. And so, like I've always said in my podcasts, at this point, I might be sounding like a broken record, but people who care about you would care about you for you and not pick you apart in a very superficial manner. Right? And I seem to forget this myself. And I think this serves as some sort of reminder, not just for you, but for me as well. You know? And so, like I mentioned earlier, the purpose of me recording this entire episode is not just for me to come here, like I said, and open my pants. Even though I don't wear pants, guys. Is this too much information? Is this too much information? But I'm not coming here to open my pants or to pour out, oh, my life is so, and then come here and rant for no reason. And you finish and you pause the episode and you're like, what's this guy even saying? Like, this guy, get out. But it's for me to create this sort of accountability system whereby I'm coming here to talk about this and create a sort of hope for somebody that the person thinks, okay, this guy actually feels this way. Even though this is not the direct insecurity I'm facing this, but he's actually brave enough to push through this. Not brave in a dramatic sense of drums are playing and it's like dun, 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 this guy is actually, but it's scary, it's messed up, but he wants to do this. Somebody listening to this is gonna make steps to actually push him past their own insecurity, right? I would admit that there are some insecurities that you can actually change. I mean, there's cosmetic surgery, so there are some insecurities that if you just have enough money, because all of these things are oftentimes very expensive, there are some insecurities that you can actually change, right? But I would actually recommend you accepting yourself as a whole and then deciding that changing yourself is for the betterment of your confidence that you are increasing, not to just give yourself a certain boost of confidence. Because I feel like if you change one thing, there might be a tendency to want to change another and change another and change. And if that's what you feel like gives you the utmost confidence, fine, that's your life. But I would say that accepting yourself whilst deciding to go for that, it then serves as a sort of addition to the confidence and acceptance that you are building, not just the creation of it, if that makes sense to you. And then I would also agree and acknowledge the fact that there are insecurities that you can't really you can't really change them or remove them or modify them in a way that they would not look anatomically natural or physiologically natural through cosmetic surgery. And in this case, you might have to live with the acceptance of the fact that this insecurity is going to be with you, or this unique future is going to be with you for the rest of your life. And I think the best thing you can actually do is to then start to accept yourself, just like I'm doing. And I know that you can actually correct crooked teeth, like there's a correction for that. But with braces, with all of that, comes you wearing a retainer for the rest of your life, else your teeth is going to go back to the position it was. And so I can't come and kill myself. The last time I went to check for braces was reaching 1 million naira, if not more. And I last checked for a braces a couple of years ago. That thing is so expensive. You would think that the way the Nigerian society doesn't pursue dental hygiene, not like we have like nasty mouths or everybody's just walking pit latrine in their mouths, but you would think that since there is not much demand for it in a way, in my opinion and in my experience, you would think it would be relatively cheap. But no. That stuff is somebody's house rent. You carry iron of house rent in your mouth, and I've been checking if there's a way to use rope and broom to fix in the mouth to straighten this thing, but there isn't. There actually is not a way for that. So until then, I just have to accept this. And this is not false positivity. This is not me being delusional and saying, you know what, I will just accept that I will just have to accept this and I'll just have to. I genuinely want to accept this so much so that whenever I have the money to actually pursue cosmetic surgery, I can now make a choice. It will not be out of desperation. It will be more of, oh, okay, this is actually possible. Wow, I've always wanted this. All right, I have the money and I can push this out there and I can make this work out for me and it will actually boost what I've been building. You get now, it's not gonna be me being desperate my entire life and rushing for this to boost my confidence. If somebody's doing that and they feel that that's right for them, good and fine. But I wouldn't want to do that. And so that hence why I'm deciding to actually build myself up and quench this particular insecurity. You understand? So yeah, that's the entire point of this episode. It's an episode to really just tell you that this is what I decided to do. And I hope that anybody listening, somebody somewhere, can actually decide to also be on the journey of accepting their own uniqueness, unique future, whether it's something that you can't change. And if it's something you can change right now, you want to do it, that's actually really beautiful. I would advise you to go for it and accept yourself and develop yourself and be going. And if it's something that you can't really change, then you have to accept it, genuinely accept it. And I know I sound like a freaking broken record every time I come here to talk, but you need to surround yourself with people who see you for you to the point that you now accept and believe in your heart that there are actually people in this world who would look at you. And yes, it's human for them to notice, oh, this person, okay, they might notice, oh, this person has this uniqueness of them, but then that doesn't stay at the forefront of their mind during every conversation. And even if they bring it up to you, it's with care or curiosity, just so that they know and they are aware and they are not feeling weird about it. And it's out of curiosity, it's out of, oh, I've never seen this before. Oh, this is how this is. And then that goes off their mind. Or it's not something that makes them treat you a certain kind of way that's just sad or just rude or just in any negative way. Do you get? And so surrounding yourself with those kind of people would enable you go through this entire stage or this entire acceptance faster, smoother, and better, and also sort of make your mind open to the fact that there are actually people in this world who would see you for who you are, for what you bring to the table, and for all you are in your wholeness instead of just that particular insecurity or uniqueness, if you may. And that's all I've got for today's episode. It's always wonderful. It's always freaking wonderful to have a conversation with you. I would maybe in the nearest future start making this episode more frequent. Be at the forefront of your minds. But that's really all I've got for today, and I hope that you found some sort of value in it. So there's this bed that keeps on making a sound while I'm recording this episode. And so if you're hearing any sort of bed sound in the background, there's this bed near where I'm recording. I don't know why the sound is entering the recording, but I can hear it as I'm recording, and I don't like that. I don't know what kind of desperate bed that is. Why do you want to be on the episode so bad? Why? You're not a guest. Anyways, thank you for your time. Thank you for spending your time with me on this episode. I always appreciate it. I genuinely do, as always. Check out the Almost 20 podcast on Instagram at Almost 20 podcast. Check out me, your host, on Instagram at _Guy Martins. Check out the podcast on anywhere you stream your podcast. And please rate the podcast. Please share the podcast. If you did enjoy it and you think another person would actually find value in it, I would really appreciate it if you did share the podcast. Rating the podcast helps me a whole lot, as I've mentioned in the previous podcast episodes. And that reminds me, I just realized that we are in the season 4 of the podcast episode. What kind of host doesn't let the listeners know that they're in a new season? At this point, is this a joke? It's not, I promise you. I don't know why. This episode is season 4, episode 3. And the next episode is going to be season 4, episode 4. Right? And somebody wonderful recommended to me that we should try doing it maybe a particular season, and there's going to be a theme for that season, and we dive right into it. It may be multiple guests or a particular guest. And I thought that was really wonderful. And I'll probably be trying that out. But yeah, thank you once again for spending your time with me. The next episode is going to be dropping next year. And for now, I hope you enjoy your holiday. I hope you really have a wonderful Christmas. And I hope you have a wonderful New Year. Okay? I'll talk to you next year. Bye.
Hace 9 años que el snack wrap se fue. Así sin explicación, sin despedida. Y tú no lo superaste. Hiciste posts, tweets, hasta abriste grupos en las redes sociales. Y te enfocaste en lograr tu meta, que regresara. Y hoy, después de años de pedirlo, volvió el snack wrap. Ordénalo en Ranch o Spicy. Encuentra tu snack wrap en tu McDonald's favorito. Para pa pa pa.